Go.
This is the Couples Corner. The Couples Corner. This is the Couples Corner. Team Evans. This is the Couples Corner. The Couples Corner.
The Couples Corner with Team Bevins of I Still Do Ministries every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is another episode, and today you will get some good information, some great nuggets, and some tools to strengthen your relationship. The Couples Corner with Team Bevins.
All right, party people, how y'all feeling tonight? Welcome to the Couples Corner. I am Marcus, and this is my wonderful wife,
Cherie.
and we are happy that you all are here with us in the Couples Corner tonight. We are going to discuss a very important and interesting topic tonight that a lot of people are faced with and deal with, and we will be able to chime in on it, and you all are welcome to share your input. And tonight our topic is going to be blended families. We're going to talk about it from a couple of perspectives. Tonight we also will be having a special guest on tonight with us who lived the life of a blended family, and they'll be able to share some tools of success that they have experienced in their relationship. And so we'll be bringing them in momentarily and introduce you all to them as well. And so I'm going to pray, and then we will get into tonight's Couples Corner. So, Father, we thank you for another opportunity to gather together in the Couples Corner. We thank you for every couple who is here tonight that is a part of this broadcast tonight. We pray, Lord, that as we move forward in this broadcast, Lord, that there will be no issues, no situations, anything that would hinder your people from being able to hear what it is that you would desire for us to gain on tonight. We pray, Lord, that all will be done decently and in order, and that you would give us tools, information, insight that we will be able to use to cause our relationships to grow, to flourish, and to be better. We thank you for every couple that is here tonight and every person who will be able to hear this on Mix Station Live, for those who will be able to watch the playback on social media. And we just thank you for all of the avenues that are available for the Couples Corner to be able to be out and be available to those who desire it. We look forward to what you're going to do tonight in us, with us, and through us. We love you and we praise you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so blended families, this is something that is a situation that a lot of families deal with, because in today's society, everyone does not come to the table by themselves. Some come with children, some come together, and as a result of their union, they choose to add other components to their family with children that they may adopt, or all kinds of scenarios. And so tonight we're going to talk about that, because this is something that has been a situation or an issue in relationships, and sometimes we just need tools that we can use to be able to have success, and that's why we wanted to talk about it tonight in the Couples Corner. So for those of you who are with us on social media, we thank you for chiming in, and we look forward to being with you all tonight. So, of course, for those of you who have any questions or you want to chime in and share a comment on our Facebook Live, please feel free to do so. And for those of you who are listening via Mix Station, we thank you. But because our phone line is going to be in use tonight, we pray that you would just allow us to share what we share, and you all listen in and be a part of it. So we're going to bring in our guests tonight, and our guests are a couple that have been married for some time now. They were once here in Baltimore, Maryland, and they've relocated, gone to another state. And so we're going to allow them to share their story. But they are a couple that we've known for some great time and been a part of watching them grow, mature, and to flourish in their relationship and in their family. And so we're grateful for them to be in the Couples Corner with us tonight. And tonight we have with us as our guest Team White, Davon and Latia. So y'all put your hands together and give them some love as they join in on the Couples Corner tonight.
Oh, that's
all right. So Davon, Latia, you guys here with us?
Yes, we're here.
We're here.
All right. Thank y'all so much for joining in with us tonight on the Couples Corner. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been married, all that good stuff. You guys can kind of do it better than we can. And then we'll jump in with some of the questions that we have.
Okay, yeah. We've been married 16 years now. It'll be 17 in January. Happily married. That's probably important to say.
Yeah.
And we right now we have 3 of our biological kids, one that's adopted, and we have 4 foster kids that we're actually bringing in this week. So we're here in Florida, down in Palmetto, Florida. We've been here for probably about 4 years in Florida now, coming from Baltimore, Maryland. Of course, from Victorious Ministries as well. So, yeah, we're just blessed to be on here with you guys, man, and just share it and hopefully give some insight to somebody who might need it.
All right. So I know our wives have some common ground that they've shared, and so we'll just as we do, but we'll allow them to kind of share for a moment, and then we'll jump into some of the questions and things that we have.
Is there anything you would like to share, Tia? Everyone listening, these are our friends, so it's kind of laid back.
Yeah. I mean, aside from, of course, aside from us, being in the ministry together, Sheree and I also share common careers. So we actually both went to the same school,
Yeah.
Coppin State University.
Yes, CSU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both. And so we are both nurses. So,
Yes.
so that's what we definitely have in common. So.
And so she went one step further, but it's okay. She kept on moving forward.
Yeah, I went a leap further and just finished up with my master's degree. So I'm studying. Well, I'm preparing to be a practitioner. To
Yes.
my exam. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yes.
Good stuff. All right, so you guys being down in Florida now, and like you mentioned a few moments ago, Davon, having your biological children and then choosing to add an adopted child to the equation before getting into foster care. This is definitely a addition to the family and dealing with the whole blended family aspect. How do you all, or how did you all find the comfort in doing that without it creating too much friction with you all as a couple, as well as with your 3 biological children?
Well, I guess I can start because I didn't want to do it.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
So I could be the one to start, and we talked a little bit about it just before getting on air. It literally took God to push me to change my mind and my heart to do it. We were already, of course, from ministry dealing with youth in general, and some of those kids were actually foster kids and kids who came from broken backgrounds and homes. But we had such a soft spot in our heart for that. But it was just a different thing bringing kids into your home for me. You know what I mean? That I was just so protective of my own that I wasn't sure if that was something I could do. And man, God really, really, really had to push me to do it. Once I made my mind up, luckily my wife, one of the things I can say she didn't do was she didn't press me. You know what I mean? She didn't nag me. She didn't,
That's good.
Try to push me into it, because that would have made me withdraw more. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
That was definitely one of the things that helped me.
Whereas with me, I was a total opposite. Naturally, I love children. I've always wanted a lot of children. And my field of nursing is in pediatrics, so it was just for me, it was just, I was the one that would just, if I could bring all the babies home from the nursery, I would. Or if I could open an orphanage, I would. So it was just, total, it was just a total different ends of the spectrum. But like he said, just, you know, although that was a desire of mine, at the same time, you know, it was definitely God ordained for his heart to be changed or even wanting to do so. So,
Good
but
stuff.
so yeah, so then we made the decision to do foster care, and what you want to go from there?
I would say also too, like you said, how did we do it without friction? One of the things that I remember, I don't know what show it was. I always used to say, it's us against the kids. I don't know. Like we're a team, and the kids are a part of the team. You know what I'm saying? So we always take care of each other first. We always put each other first. We always make sure that we're okay. And we couldn't have went into it and made this decision if we weren't both on board. We had to both be 100% behind it, and that's how we were able to have no friction going through the whole process.
Yeah, and it's funny that he said that, because like even when I talk to people about, you know, us doing foster care and the fact that we are, you know, on a team together and doing so, it's like so many people admire the fact that we both want to do it. Like I had some people that would say, wow, like I would love to do that, but my spouse would not agree. Like my spouse in no way would allow us to do foster care. So it just, you know, that's just something to even, you know, think about that, you know, to be in a situation where it's something that you have a desire to do, but knowing that, you know what I mean, y'all have to be on the same page for something like that.
So for everyone listening, this is blended family a different way. They're choosing to bring people in their home, but even in choosing, there is still some things they had to go through. And I think that's a good point that they just made, that they have to be on the same team. They both have to agree. So for those of us or those of you out there who are saying like, oh, I'm going to do it anyway, that's why your business is failing. That's why you know things aren't working, because you and your partner don't agree. And that way, that means that you're praying one way, he's praying the other, and it's not going to work. So if they would have these children and one of them didn't agree, the house would be probably chaotic. Now, it may have some chaos now, but in a good way. But it probably would be chaotic because, you know, one person is not interested. And so, you know, as I tell y'all, we're on here to spark up conversation, to make you think, to think about what you're doing in your marriage, what you're doing in your life. And sometimes we just have to understand that we have a dream or we have a desire, and our spouse may not be there yet.
Right.
And so what are you going to do? And one thing I do admire about Tia is that she knows how to wait. And I heard Davon say that she didn't push him. Most of us are going to be like, all right, look, you ready to get these kids? What you doing? You know, what you doing? Come on, instead of waiting and allowing God to work on that person, work on your spouse. How many of us are willing to wait? That is an important thing. Even before Tia and Davon, I ain't going to tell that story, got married, I seen Tia wait. So, it might have been painful wait, but I seen her wait. But when you wait, good things come to you.
Right.
Are they easy? No. But good things come. So there's still a process. And I kind of want you, Team White, to talk about, if you can, your process. Like, your process in maintaining emotions with you as a couple, but also you as your children, you and your children, your biological children, understanding, like, what's going on here? Like, why do we need to have these kids? And, I mean, they may be okay. I'm just saying. I would like for you to talk about that, and I would also like for you to talk about your process going from Baltimore to where you are now. And because this is not easy when you pick a family up and move. You have to have communication. You have to have trust in God. Like, because I know everybody wasn't for it. I know everybody you told wasn't like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, yeah, you should do that. You know, and then when success comes, people kind of tend to be like, oh, yeah, oh, this is what can happen. Oh, y'all did that. I wish I could. You know, y'all didn't sit back and continue to say, I wish I could. You did it. So can you kind of talk about your journey from, Baltimore to leaving Baltimore to coming to going, because you had a child you adopted, and that was a process too.
Right. I guess I'll start and say, as far as incorporating like our biological children with foster care, I think for us it was like we started our foster care journey so early that it just kind of became a part of their lives. Mm-hmm. And then, then as they got older, they understood that there was such a bigger purpose behind what we did. So, and that's another point of even going back to not only us being on, on the same page as husband and wife, but even as children. Like before we even made the decision to go back into foster care, we brought it to our children's attention to see what their thoughts were about it, because there was a lapse of a couple years from when we had adopted Dylan to when we had came here to Florida and thought about going back into fostering. So we immediately went to them first and to ask them, and they were like, yeah, sure. Like, again, it was like no surprise to them, because they just felt like that's just what we do. Mm-hmm. We've had a total of 5 foster children in our home. So they, like I said, they knew that this is kind of a part of, what we do. And as far as, what was the other part?
At the transition.
Oh, so as far as the transition, it was funny because even going on the same page of being on the same page, we actually vacationed in Florida for Christmas vacation. And I think Daniel, our oldest, was 4 at the time. And we all left that vacation not wanting to leave. I'll never forget, like, even going to him and saying, we're leaving tomorrow. And he said, well, I don't want to go. And I was like, well, we have to. And he was like, why can't we live here? And I guess he was even speaking into our lives then. And I was like, well, we can't. We got family. I'm going to miss our family. And we got things to do back home. And he said, well, they can come visit. And that was just a simple conversation between me and my 4-year-old son. But believe it or not, we left there with a plan. Mm-hmm. We left that vacation with saying we are moving to Florida. And originally it was a 5-year plan, but it got a little delayed. But we did it, and we've always been like that. When we say we're going to do something, we do it. So it wasn't a matter of any, thought about it.
Yeah, the process of people, like you said, I think was it was surprising. Not that people didn't support us, but that the fear that people had to move out on their own, try to put that on us, was surprising. You know what I mean? To see people say, well, do you have family there, or how you going to do this, or what are you going to do about this? And, we did have a plan, but most people were saying, man, that's a crazy thing to do, or that, because they might not in their own mind see any way that they could do it. So they tried to, kind of put that on us. And I myself even got to a point where I told my wife, I said, you know what, maybe we need to stop talking to people about this plan that we have, because I don't want anybody to put it in our minds and put a seed there that we get fearful and not do, because we knew God was calling us here, and He showed as soon as we got here. But we knew He was calling us, and we needed to be clear-minded. We needed to be focused and have boldness. So we kind of started to talk less about it and just do. And next thing you know, we were moving, and that's our mindset. It was just like, don't think about it, just pray, continue to seek God, and do it. And once you're in it, it's like, wow, we're here. I can't believe it. You know what I mean? But everything fell in line perfectly the way God set it up. So that was one of the big things, was just keeping ourselves focused and not really allowing people to talk us out of it.
That's good. That's real good. So I think sometimes in our marriages we talk too much about what should be kept in the bedroom, not sexually. I'm talking about pillow talk and things you write down. If it's a plan, you're writing it down as the word says, making it plain, and you're following through with your plan. You follow through your plan, and like you said, Tia, it got delayed, but it still happened. So that just shows us as couples, our stuff may not go through how you have it on the paper or in the timing that you have it on the paper. But as long as you keep focusing on what you have on the paper and not what people are saying, and sometimes, it can be not that they're trying to talk you out of something, but they're also trying to talk you into something that's not for your marriage. So you have to be really wise, because people can try to talk you into things that is not that's not your marriage. That's not what God told you. And even as Team Bevins, we say, you know, we are on here to give insight in things, but everything doesn't fit every marriage.
Right.
And you have to seek God. So, you know, and I know the answer, but how much of a part did your Christian walk play in this?
Again, I'll start that. Because I was like, in the beginning, I told Tia, I was like, man, I'm going to need Jesus to, like, come whisper in my ear on this one. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I need more than the small, still voice. I need, like, him to yell in my ear.
Like,
You know what I'm saying?
holla at me, Jesus.
But the thing was, I think mostly, I mean, even in this situation, I can say with us deciding to take a new tour, I was on tour doing music, and I happened to visit a home that had maybe 14 kids in there.
Wow.
And we pull up in the bus, and these kids are lined up in front of this house. And I'm like, what in the world is this? You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking to the guy, and he's like, man, I do foster, and I got 14 kids, and he had this big, huge house out in some mountains. And I was like, man, this is awesome when I saw what he was doing with the kids. And I said to him, I said, man, if God allowed me the resource and the money and the time to do that, man, I would do it. You know what I mean? And I spoke that, and I said that to God that night. And the next day, my wife called me and said, we have an opportunity
He was like,
to do this.
You ready?
Yeah.
So it was like, I mean, you can't really get any more really than a walk with God in that aspect. You know what I mean? I was speaking what I would do, and at the same time, she was having a conversation with someone who was offering the opportunity that God had already put on my heart by allowing me to see those kids and preparing me for it. You know what I mean? And then I spoke it. So when she called, I said, I guess I can't say no. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I just told God I would do it. You know what I mean? So that, I think, without prayer, you know what I mean, is probably, I think it's so underrated. You know what I mean?
Yes.
People use it as a second resort as instead of the actual source. You know what I mean? And
Right.
if we don't pray, I mean, we pray with our kids at night. Our kids pray for the kids who are coming in.
Nice.
And it's something consistent that we do that I believe when it gets crazy and struggle and times come, automatically that peace and stuff comes from those prayers that we have stored up before we even got into the situation. You know what I mean? So it's really big in that aspect.
So,
Yeah. And yeah, so like just to piggyback off of what he said, it was definitely, you know, God ordained because, you know, we thought our season of fostering was up. I mean, we really did. You know, we had 5. We adopted Dylan, and we thought that Dylan was the final chapter. And then when we moved here, it was like, you know, a part of us was missing, and we just felt like, well, maybe we should again. And so we went to one foster care class, and we were like, well, you know, we sat there in that class, and we were like, we can't do this. This is just too busy of a season for us. And that was about 2 years ago. And then we were like, you know what? You know, timing isn't right. And that's another thing. Timing is so important because it was like a desire. Again, I felt like more so for me because that's just who kids is who I am. But I just felt like more so for me, I was just like, you know, wanting to something that I was trying to make happen. That at the time and the season wasn't right. And, you know, God showed us at that time that the season wasn't right. But I had accepted the fact that it was okay if he said it wasn't going to happen. And so we weren't looking for it. We said if the timing, the opportunity presented itself again, you know, maybe we'll do foster care again. But if not, it's okay. Maybe we've sown our season and our season is really up. And then 2 years later, like I said, we weren't even looking for this opportunity. It came to us. And so that's how you know it was definitely a God ordained. Nobody would have ever said that we'd be moving into a foster family home and taking in 4 to maybe even 5 more children. So it's just crazy to even think about it. When we even say it, it just sounds crazy. But, yeah.
So for those of you who just joined us or didn't hear from the beginning, this is Tia and Davon White. They live in Florida. Their blended family is a little different because they have their own biological children, and then they've adopted a child, but now they've moved into a foster family home. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So this home is bigger, and they can have more children. They're going to have 4 to 5 more children in this home, and then and so, but they're still living life. They just graduated from college.
Oh,
And they're still working and running businesses and still living life, but still giving love to some children who really need it, and their children are willing to give love and to them as well. And I have a question for Davon as the covering. This is all under your umbrella. After God, then this is you.
Right.
Yeah.
So is that maybe part of the reason why this was a little bit of a struggle? But now it seems like you the one like, let's go. But
Oh,
this is
yeah.
all you. So
Yeah.
you gotta cover. The more people you bring in this house, this is for you to cover. So your relationship with God is very important. But I know they want to talk about it a little bit already. But I want you to talk about it from a covering aspect.
Yeah, that you hit it right on the head, like you said, because of course with having my own children, I really take that seriously as a covering, covering my sons and my daughter and my wife, and being responsible for them, as well as Dylan. Even though he's adopted, he's my son. You know what I mean?
Right.
Automatically. So he's as well. I cover him as well, and so I take it seriously and know that I'm accountable for them. So, like you said, when you add more, you become more accountable. And now I got to go back to God when somebody's through. I'm accountable for them. You know what I'm saying? And now God is dealing with me for everybody and everything that happens. So some of these situations and circumstances and decisions that are made, I have to be accountable for. And even if my wife makes the wrong decision, if I'm on board, it's my fault. You understand? Because I got to cover it. So I got to be careful and make sure that I'm not moving on emotion, that she's not moving on emotion, that we're actually making the right decision. Because if not, more than likely, I'm going to pay the price for it. You know what I'm saying? So, that did play a part in me making the decision and trying to make sure that I did it with a clear mind and make sure that I was really hearing from God.
So men, please don't allow us to push you into things, because then you'll be frustrated with us when you have to pay for something we've done out of emotion. That was real good, because I know that I can get an idea or get something, and I don't count the cost. You have to count the cost to leave Baltimore, go to Baltimore, and go to Florida. And then go to Florida and have yourself set, and then decide to pick up and do something totally different. You have to, and then share it with the world. And then there's a whole another thing, and that's the fact that you don't pick your kids by what you look like.
Right.
You're not like, oh, give me that kid because they black too. So some people that are listening, I'm gonna allow y'all to share y'all social media stuff later, and when they see your pictures, they gonna know what I'm talking about. But and along with that comes some things, I'm sure, because everybody thinks that love doesn't have a color. Love doesn't have love does not say, oh, I can only love you because you are this color or this gender.
Right.
No. And so y'all doing this for real. And and I know things come with that. I know when you show up to the school like this is my son, they like, what?
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah.
Where? Which one? Wait a minute, let me get your son. This not your son. So and that's because we got this mind, we in a box. But y'all are outside the box. When y'all do things like that, I believe that y'all outside the box. No, you're not the first family that's ever done it. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that not once on here did you say, well, we only accept. See, because I had this. Okay, everybody, I had this. We can do foster care, but this is what we're going to do. I'm only going to accept babies. Or I'm only going to accept this age. That was what I had. But I don't feel that that's what y'all are doing. Y'all are accepting who need your love.
Whosoever. Right?
Yes. And, this is a process. And the more we talked about this before on Couples Corner, that you have to walk the process. Yeah. And the process is not always going to be easy, but the blessings that come out of this process for Team White and any other couple that is listening on here, no matter what your process is, we're talking about blending, adding children to a family, but your process can be whatever it is. They have businesses, they went to school. There's a process in that. They graduated at the same time. Like, there's a process to that. And they still have a successful marriage, and their children still are happy. A child will tell the truth.
Right.
A child will tell the truth. I don't care if it's in a picture. I don't care if you're talking to them. They'll tell the truth. They be looking at them pictures like, why she keep taking pictures of? What? So these children look happy. They don't look sad. They don't look like, Dylan doesn't look like, why did you adopt me? He looks grateful. He looks grateful. Like, I'm happy to be in this family.
Exactly.
So I just, there's a process, and a lot of times we don't want to go through the process. Even in our relationships, when we having issues, there is a process to make it better. I'm sure if Dave and Tia could tell a testimony, they have a testimony of their marriage issues, of their family issues, of financial issues, whatever it is, but they had to walk it out. You cannot say, all right, well, this is the problem. It's easy to quit, y'all. It's easy to quit, but a person that goes through the process has integrity, and they are one that's going to win, and that God is going to bless phenomenally. So, if there's anybody out there that has a question, comment, y'all please type it. We will, or Mike can read it, but we will read it, and they can answer it. Please, if you have any questions for them, no question is a dumb question. If they can help you in any way, I pray that they are helping someone out there. Even if you can't have a child and you want to do foster care, maybe they can answer a question for you, or thinking about adopting, maybe they can answer a question for you, because they've been on all spectrums.
Right. So when I look at this situation, one of the things that jumps out to me is the love factor, because if we be honest, dealing with marriage, there are some couples that don't have any children at all that are struggling with the love just for one another. But when you have to spread your love out, and it's this close, we're not talking about just loving your neighbor, loving a stranger that you don't see. But when your love has to be stretched out wide with your family, when it's more than just a husband and a wife, when it's, when you start bringing children into the equation, and then you start dealing with multiple children, we generally hear about blended families with people coming to the table with their own children. So, she comes to the table and she's got one or two children. You come to the table and you got one or two children, and you guys decide that you're going to, build this family together, blend this family together on the strength of we love each other and we want to be in a relationship. So you guys got to go along for the ride. And if that's not done properly, then that's going to become tension in the relationship. And it doesn't always have to be tension in the relationship of the man and the woman. It can be tension in the relationship of the child and the man, or the child and the woman, or even the children with the children. But when there is enough love that it can cover, because that's what love does, it covers. When there's enough love that it can cover the issues that come along with it, because anybody who has children know that parenting is not the easiest thing to do. And when you have multiple children, that stretches it even that much more.
And
because
we don't know the background sometimes of the children.
Exactly, what they come from and the different things, and from the spiritual side, what spirits they're coming with based off of their history before you. But having to take that responsibility, because as parents, we know what our history was, we know what our background was, so we know what's in our children based off of the two of us. But when you start talking about we have a child that we don't know the full history, or even if we know the story, we don't know the history. So to be able to love them out of their history and love them into your story is major, and so that's big for me. That stands out as a great deal and a great thing, that there's enough love with the two of you to include others and to allow your family to grow and to expand. And so I commend you guys on being
Wow.
able to share and show
Thank
that
you. I
love.
never saw it that way, man. That's a great analogy and way to see it for sure.
Yeah. So, can you talk about how your me time meaning for yourselves and for you as a couple? How do you maintain you? Because if you adopt 17 kids, they're gonna leave you one day because you're gonna train them. They're gonna grow up and they're gonna go to college. So how are you maintaining your marriage as a couple and yourself, your individual self? Because I'm sure when you were in school, it was very stressful, and running businesses is stressful sometimes. And when I say stressful, I don't always mean bad stress. It's just good stress of just maintaining everything that you have. So how do you maintain your life as a couple and yourself?
Some of the things that we have done, that we've made a point to do, is we have time specifically for us, like you said, whether it be kids while they're in school. We've done dates. We date all the time. So it can be literally going out to get breakfast and spending time together. We get monthly massages.
Yeah.
That's something we felt that we had to do every month, that we felt was like a health, thing for us, that we had to do to keep our minds clear. We vacation as much as possible, even if it's just a day, an overnight stay. If we can find someone to watch the kids, we vacation way more than anybody thinks you probably should vacation together. One of the things we've started to do more than anything is we've taken our exercise seriously, and we walk. We ain't got to run. We go on walks, and we do that together. Sometimes late at night, whenever we can, and we can just talk then and there.
Yeah,
and I was talking to Marcus about it yesterday. I think for us, what's most important is, more than loving each other, we like each other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Good.
we're
You
friends.
like your spouse.
You know
That's
what
the
I'm
next. Wait a minute. That's the next topic for next week. Go ahead.
Yeah, that one right there is like important. We're friends. You know what I'm saying? So we hang out, literally. So that's important.
So I guess with that being said, just to kind of piggyback off of what he was saying, is that, it's not too much. Everything that he said was an us thing. And I mean, so it's not saying that it's not important to take care of yourself individually.
Right.
But for the most part, the things that I like, he likes, and the things that he like, I like. So it's a lot of things we do. Most things we do together. Now, aside from, going to get my nails done or making sure my hair is done, the things that doesn't, interest him, that's probably where I get my me time, is just taking care of me.
Okay.
But as far as anything else, like I said, we pretty much do everything together.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's real good. And I guess I'm not sure if we kind of answered this question. How do you create balance between time with kids, work, and your wife or husband? So we answered the wife or husband, but I guess the time with kids and work part.
Yeah, that's it. The important thing about that is schedules. That's like, my wife is great with keeping the calendar. She has it right here, I think, right in front of us. No, it's somewhere right here. Like, she keeps a calendar with everything written down in it, and sometimes I got to go to her and say, what's going on this day, what's going on that day, and we kind of stick to a schedule. With businesses, with a nonprofit, you have no choice but to have order and to have structure. You know what I mean? So even with our kids, we have structure, whether it be their chores, whether it be time to go to bed. Everything literally has to fall in line for it to not have chaos and not to have confusion. So we've created almost like a system of how we do things. I have my time when I get up in the morning where I might check the emails for my business, and I might send out anything important that I need to do. But we also have time where we say, okay, it's time to stop. You know what I mean? It's time to focus on family. And what we do, we have family movie nights. We just had one the other night. We have game nights we just had the other night. So we try to make sure that we fit all of that in. And people think it's hard, but it's really not hard when you actually have the structure and realize you're probably wasting time, more time than you think you are. You know what I mean? Doing something as simple as scrolling through your phone or watching TV. We try to be constructive and actually put that time to use.
Yeah, that's good. one key thing you keep saying is you have it's basically having a plan, but you write it down. She has a calendar, something you can physically look at to see what's going on and what you're going to do, and not just putting it in your head saying we're going to do this, but actually looking at it so you can actually execute it or see, oh, this is coming up, so let's prepare and get some games for game night, because you can't get to game night. You don't even have any games in your house. So, I mean, it's something as simple as that would just mess your whole thing up. You're like, okay, what we going to play now?
Nail biting contest.
There's no games for every age level in your house. So then you're just, messed up. So I hope that answered your question. Any more questions, you can please type them in on Facebook, and we will read them to get you an answer.
Now, another question that comes to mind in a scenario like this is, how do you deal with the way that others view you as a family, as a unit, and what you guys do, how you do it, what you bring to the table, the dynamic of your family? Some people don't care about that, and some people do, but either way, it's still happening.
I mean, like I said, I guess really doesn't really faze me personally too much. But what I can say, and I've heard this even in conversation and talking to people, that I've learned that people's perspective of you can be way, way off. Because sometimes people on the outside looking in can be like, oh, I've even had people say that they're intimidated by like our busyness. So we feel like we have so much going on, and we don't have time for friends, or we don't have time for this, and we don't have time for that. And it's so misconstrued, because it's like once you really get to know who we are, you will see how really off your perspective of us really is. And I think for me, that's the hardest thing for me to accept, because especially like being such a giving family unit, that it's hard when people's perspective can just throw how you receive that completely off, just off of the way that they view you. And so, I mean, that's, for me, that's just the biggest thing I could say.
Yeah, I think for me, it's a different dynamic being a black man, you know what I mean, and walking in with a white kid with red hair, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a big difference. I see it, I see how people look. Like, for me, it's great because I've never been moved by how people feel or what they think, and it doesn't move my emotions. But I do learn from it, because for me, being a black man and having two black sons and having to teach them how to navigate this world, but also having a son who's white and having to teach him how to navigate as well, we have a different perspective of how the world is. You know what I mean? And having to teach both of them and not have a one-track mind, I usually try to use that as a teaching tool to other people, because, like she said, that perspective of me as a young, I'm not young as I used to be, but they see me, and I'm not that old, and they might see if I was an older black man with a white kid, they might be less inclined to look and think, things that they think. So I usually introduce myself. I talk to people, and I let them know what our situation is. I tell them and explain to them and give them a little perspective of what it is that we do. And once they see that, I think it opens people's minds to beyond just foster care and things of that nature. It opens their mind just in general to, like you said, love has no color limits, no limits at all, no boundaries. And it opens their hearts, and I'm able to minister to them through that. So, luckily I'm able to keep my emotions in check. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother us as a family. I think we're kind of oblivious to it, to how people see it and how they look at us and all of those things. But that's only by God covering us, for real.
And they really going to have a whole different views, because the 4 children that we're getting this week are also Caucasian children. So it's really we're going to really get some looks in. So.
Yeah, they're going to think we done kidnapped everybody's kids.
Right, that's what it is. You just look like you kidnapped.
They done kidnapped them kids.
And that's so sad, but it's so true. Like, you just kind of
Yeah.
looks like, are y'all kids all right? They probably whisper to the kids, y'all all right?
Right.
You know what they think? You know what I believe? In my mind, a lot of times I always think when they see me, they say, oh, he must be married to a Caucasian woman.
Right.
Right.
And when they see Tia, I've seen it. When she's had one of her scrubs, they thought she was his nurse.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's
and Dylan puts him in check. Dylan be like, this my father, this my mother, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
That's a whole different thing because also the children that they take in sometimes have medical issues, and so they also have to deal with that. Their medical issues, they have to tend to them, or have people come in their homes to tend to them, and that too is an added thing to just taking someone in your home. It's not just like taking that child that's fine and okay. Some of these children have medical issues and things that you have to deal with, and equipment that you have to have, and special things you have to purchase to make their lives smooth. So that's a whole different aspect. So just like I say with anything, you have to have a love for it. You do. You have to really have love, true love. This is like how God loves us. You gotta love others. We cannot play with this because then so many lives will be messed up. And just same with your spouse. You have to truly, truly love your spouse. We, sometimes want to throw this word around so loosely, but just like Marcus said, love covers. That's what the word says. Love covers.
Right. And
we are so willing to love and be free with everybody else. And that would be like if they love the kids and did everything with the kids but didn't spend time with each other. And that's why I wanted to pull that out, because I didn't know they did as much as they do. But they have to love each other and like each other to be around each other and to deal with all the things that they have to deal with. They're not perfect. They're not perfect in marriage, and they're not perfect in the things they do outside of their marriage.
You can say that again. Say that one again. We ain't perfect.
They're not perfect.
For sure.
And I also want to ask everyone, every couple listening, every engaged couple, every married couple listening, please stop looking at people through social media. Please stop get to know people. Get to know them. Talk to them. Find out about their life if you really want to know. People do this to us too. I'm like, oh, how do y'all do that? Get to know us. Talk to us. Ask us questions. And that's why I want y'all to ask them questions. It doesn't just have to be about foster care. It can be about relationship. I trust that they can answer it. Because we can't just look at social media. You can't take their 15-minute, 10-minute video about their house and just be like, oh, they got it going on. No, they had to move their stuff in their house. They had to decorate their house. They got to make sure they got something for the age groups of children that's coming in their house. And I do have a question. Is the neighborhood you're in, are there other houses, foster homes in that neighborhood? Or are you the only one?
No, we actually are. It's a couple of them. So this it's an amazing organization that actually purchased their program. Actually donated these homes, and they bought 10 acres of land. And the goal is to have 9 houses on this land. And right now we have 5. Well, they're building a 5th one right now, and 4 of the houses are occupied. So right now it's 4 foster family homes that live on this in this community, and pretty much each family has about 7 to 8 children.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, so it's definitely a community.
Yeah, it's a community thing.
Yeah,
that's nice. That's real nice.
So
but the program was really designed to take in sibling groups, because sibling groups are hard to place. I mean, foster care in general, it's a lot of foster kids out there, and the need is so great, but it's hard for siblings to be taken in, because your average foster family can't take in a sibling group. And so this program actually was designed to house sibling groups so the kids don't have to be separated. So that's why it's like so many kids, because most people, well, actually all of the families have groups of siblings. So
that's good. That's good. Something that I wanted to address quickly, because this is something that we don't see or hear often, but children from a relationship, or children that grow up seeing a relationship, they often desire to duplicate what they see. And I think that sometimes as couples, we don't always recognize that, or we don't know that, or pay attention to that as much as we should. And then we can get blown away by the things that our children say or desire, or choices and decisions that they make. But have you guys experienced any things that your children have said, or things that they, may have mentioned as far as desire, or things that they want, that come as a result of the reflection that they see in their parents when it comes to your relationship?
Yeah, definitely. Even in the idea of always wanting to give, I know our oldest son, he immediately began to actually, he was doing this, when we were even in Maryland. He created a program and helped a program where they were giving packages to kids who were in foster care. And he served like thousands of kids in that program. And so he immediately walked into that. I see it in my middle son. He literally he takes that responsibility on when the kids come and say, I'm going to teach them how to play basketball. I'm going to teach them how to play football. I'm going to do these things. And even with my daughter, she's just like a second hand, like my wife. You know what I mean? She helps, make sure that things are together with the kids. And so they definitely, their heart and for people and to help people, we see that. And I think for me, that's the biggest thing that I wanted to instill in them without actually having to say anything. I would hope that they would see that we just love people no matter what, like you said, color, gender, or anything, and literally that they would emulate that, and that's what I see them doing now.
Good stuff.
So again, if anyone has any questions, please post it on Facebook and we will read them to get your questions answered. Any questions about blending a family through foster care and adoption, or being a couple with several children, more than 3. Any questions? How, you may, I just see y'all with like this big house and y'all just, oh yeah, send them over to the whites. They'll take care of them. Then when y'all get older, your blessings will continue to flow, because these kids will never ever, even the kids I believe that you do not adopt, will never ever forget the love that you gave them and what you showed them while they were with you. Now let's talk about the emotional part, and then because I know we're almost winding down, let's talk about the emotional part of having to release the child back to their family, or back to another foster care, or however that works.
Okay. So this part will actually be, so we've seen different dynamics, because although we've had 5 children, the first 2 that we had, they were teenagers and they got into a fight, so we were kind of glad for them to go. So that wasn't hard to release. Then Dylan, we adopted. Our 4th child is the one that actually passed away. And then the 5th one, I could say, was probably the only one that I could say that we felt that emotional, like, oh my gosh, like, because when we left, we actually took her in knowing that we were about to move to Florida, but so it was kind of a temporary thing. But at the same time, when it was time for us to go, they couldn't find another family for her.
Wow.
So she wound up having to go back into the hospital. And so that was hard, because it was like we took her out of that environment, gave her a home just for her to go back into that environment. And she stayed in the hospital for a very long time before she found another foster family. So that was really hard for me to walk away from. But aside from that, I think moving forward, it's like even with, although we've done this before and we have a lot of history, the program that we're with now, they're a faith-based organization, and I think that's a big, huge difference. And not saying that, other foster care agencies that aren't faith-based aren't good. But what I'm saying is you can really see the difference in this, like the holistic view, because they focus so much on just the love of Christ, and not just the love of Christ with, the child, but with the biological family. And so the whole concept of co-parenting is like huge, and they put a lot of emphasis on that. So it's like more so working with the biological family than working against them. And just like loving them as a whole. So just looking at it from the standpoint, like, yes, you're bringing this child into your home, but in essence, you're bringing their family too. And not being so, people that get it, it's natural to kind of take on that, protective role and even be judgmental if you want to be honest. But, if you are going at this with the true love of Christ, regardless if it's a drug situation or domestic violence or whatever the case may be, you have to go with it with the love of Christ wholeheartedly, and that includes the parents too. Yeah. And so I think that part of it will be different for us because, because when you work together and you look at it as a partnership and ultimately realizing that this child is not yours and that you are ultimately trying to work with the parents for them to get their child back, it's all in how you go at it. Now, yes, you're going to fill a void. Yes, you're going to miss the child. But at the same part of it, it's like whatever your intent, your motive is, and how you go about doing so. And then if you have a good relationship with that biological family, then, you'll see that child again. You'll be able to talk to that child again. You'll be able to go to birthday parties, and you'll still be a part of that child's life. So I guess it just kind of all depends on how what your motives are.
Right. And not treat it like the parent is the biological is the enemy.
Right. And a lot of times people, naturally do so because, that's just the human nature. It's like, drugs, especially with drugs, for instance. It's like, well, how could, a mother be on drugs and, do that to her child? People can be just so judgmental. Right. But, I think that just taking even foster care out of the equation because we ultimately have the love of Christ. Like, I don't look at a drug dealer. We don't look at any differently. We would give them the food out of our cabinet, the clothes off our back, just like we would, the kids. So I guess, again, it just all depends on you. It really starts with you, and just ultimately having that love, Christ's love, like you said. So.
Okay, I want y'all to get y'all final thought, but we had one question if you can answer really quickly, and I want you to get your final thought. Dave on the tier. When your 5-year plan got delayed, did you all become discouraged, or how did you handle the delay?
We knew no matter what that our plan was going to go forward. So because we had planned it, the delay, and it's a cliche that they say in church, because delay does not mean denied. You know what I mean? Like literally, we knew that the plan was going to happen, and we knew that it was going to take patience. We knew it was going to take time. And when you know that the plan is going to happen, when you know God is behind it, there's no need to get frustrated. You know what I mean? That it's going to come. So we didn't get frustrated. Actually, what we did is we started to prepare even more. We acted like the 5-year was still happening. You know what I mean? Because we knew that it was God's plan. And we weren't discouraged at all. We just really stayed focused and made sure we saw it through.
Yeah. And just to kind of throw that out there real quick, in our case, our delay was connected to foster care. So it was still connected to our purpose anyway. So we wound up, lingering on because of tying up loose ends with our adoption or bringing in more kids and stuff like that. So in that instance, our delay was, like I said, directly connected to what we were doing and ultimately what our purpose was anyway. So it made it a little bit more easier to deal with.
Right. Okay. Can you give your final thought quickly, both of y'all? One of y'all, your final thought, couple seconds.
I want to say my final thought would be, this is great what you guys are doing. I really feel like tonight, you've given us a platform to just even speak on it and give people the insight to know that if you would just open your heart and your mind and your home, don't be so closed-minded to what God would have you do. If you ask Him to use you, don't try to figure out how He's going to use you. Really allow Him to use you. Don't put any limits on it.
Tia?
You didn't hear me. I was like piggybacking on him, but that's basically, I wanted to, basically share off what he was saying as far as, no limits. He actually took my final point. I said, not putting limits on God at all. Just definitely when you say, Lord, use me, be available, mean it, and don't tell him how to do it because, you know, he'll send you little white babies that you didn't think you was going to have.
To the Couples Corner.
You know, and,
Stop by and
but
share your
ultimately
time
he
with
will
us
get the
tonight.
glory
We
because
look
it's his
forward to
purpose
seeing you
night.
again here
So.
next week at 9 p.m. And feel free to share this on your page with any of your people who would benefit from this conversation.
So we thank you guys
We're grateful
for
that you shared
hanging
your
with
time
us tonight in the
Now
Couples
we gotta
Corner.
go, but we look forward
And we
to
appreciate
connecting with you again.
the insight that you gave us. And I know technically we are fading out and going off the air, but we're just going to linger a few more seconds just because we want to appreciate you guys for taking your time and kind of sharing on this delicate subject and topic, because it's something that a lot of people don't talk about. And when they do decide to share about it, they generally deal with it from a sugarcoating standpoint or not dealing with the direct issues or challenges that come with having a blended family. And sometimes we have tunnel vision to different scenarios because we only know about that. And so many people think the only form of blended family is that he had children or she had children, you know, and we decided to be together and we're making it work, or we're forcing the children to love the other person. But this was a different aspect of blended families, and this was more so taking your family and opening up your family to allow people that don't have a family to come in and be a part of yours. And I think that that's something that's honorable. I think it's something that needs to be celebrated, and I think that it's something that goes under the radar, and people don't recognize how necessary it is, because most people have a false understanding of foster care because they think that, you know, these are children that have been abandoned. These are children that are crack babies. These are children that, and that's not everybody's case. Some children are in those situations because of tragedy. Some of them are in those situations because of abuse. Some of them are in those situations because, you know, of neglect. And so they don't deserve any less because of things that they could not control in their innocence. So it takes someone that has the right type of heart, the right type of spirit, and a purpose to do that, to be able to step outside of that normal and natural realm to do something like that. And you know, we commend you guys for doing that. Because it takes a special type of person with a special type of heart to do it. And I think that blended families get a bad rap. And I think that it's not celebrated enough, because even those who do it, I say it all the time, especially to men, because men oftentimes don't get the credit that they deserve when it comes to blended families. Because I feel like when a man has left a plate on the table unattended and someone else steps up and decides to take that plate and take care of it, I think that that's commendable. Knowing that that was not his plate, knowing that was not even his table, but he came into that scenario, made that table his own, made that plate his own, and provides for it and produces for it as if it's his own. And I think that things like that need to be celebrated, but oftentimes it's treated as if that's your responsibility to do it because you're the husband or you're the head. And as that is the case, but let's not overlook it. You know, let's not overlook that there are so many women that are helping men be in their children's lives, because before that woman, he wasn't spending time with his children. He wasn't acknowledging his children properly. But because of who she is, she's showing him and teaching him the value of his fatherhood to his children and how important it is. So things like that I think are honorable, and they need to be celebrated. They need to be heard of more than what we hear about them, because we usually hear of all of the bad situations when it comes to blended family. We hear all of the sad stories, the stories of failure. And so I think that when we can get the glimpse of the light and we can see things that are being done the right way or being done in a positive way, it gives us a different outlook and a different perspective to look at concerning it. So we just wanted to take this time tonight to really talk about it and bring some light to the scenario. Sure, you can.
I don't know if it was
Praise God.
talking. But when we also commend you
2 minutes.
because we
2
didn't
minutes.
talk about we didn't talk about money in this or anything, and purposely, because a lot of people, that's when they want to talk about it. Oh, as a form, this is a job, or oh, whatever. But never once did you say anything about money, and that.
Oh yeah, because there is none. I'm sorry, I meant to tell you. Yeah, you ain't making no money. If this is you doing this for money, you better go get a job.
Because people always like, oh, I'm gonna do foster care, get a check, and then I can do it. But no check can pay you for the love you gotta give, the emotions you gotta deal with. I mean, what check can pay you for that if there was one? So.
Amen.
So that's all, guys. We appreciate you, and we thank y'all for taking your time out to be a part of the Couples Corner tonight. And we thank all of those who were able to be in the Couples Corner tonight with us. And we pray that the information that you heard, it was something that you could apply to your life and to your situation, even if you aren't in a blended family situation. But there were some nuggets, some tools that you could take away that you can use in your relationship or in your family that will allow you guys to be stronger and to be better. Because ultimately, that's what the Couples Corner is all about. Equipping you to have success and longevity in your relationships and to build a strong and a healthy family, because that builds a strong and a healthy community. So we love you all. We thank you all for being in the Couples Corner, and we will see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.